2 concurrent named storms in the month of June.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, why is this not advancing?
Are you on 1?
Oh, I'm looking at 2. I'm going, why is this not advancing? Come on, don't, haters gonna hate. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I will step into this and then I'll step out and I'll let you talk a little bit as well. I'm gonna talk about what's going on. Let's see, with this. Yeah, we'll come back here so Scott can walk over. We'll kind of wrap it up, all right? Yeah, sure am. Hi, 5 on your side, meteorologist Scott Connell and Craig Moeller with you to talk about the tropics.
Yeah, getting active here. June, of course, this is when hurricane season, the tropical Atlantic starts to get active, but we have 2 named storms in the tropical basin Atlantic.
And
right
this
now.
is pretty rare. You were just pulling the statistics on
Yeah,
that.
this is only the 4th time we've had 2 named storms at the same time during the month of June since going back to about 1900 since they've had records. So that's pretty impressive.
It is. And, you know, again, hurricane season runs June through the end of November. So this is the time where the Gulf waters and the ocean waters, especially near the coast, get warm enough where we start to see these systems come together. And that's what you need. You need a low-level circulation and you need warm water and actually lighter winds aloft to help generate these storms. And this is what we're looking at, Scott. And we're going to talk about why it's significant. We keep an eye to the tropics. You're thinking, here we are in Missouri. Why do we have to worry about that? Well, believe it or not, some of the rain chances around here, especially to our south by Friday, may be enhanced by what happens here with what is now Tropical Storm Cindy. And it was just upgraded from a potential tropical cyclone to an actual tropical storm. So here it is, maximum winds 45 miles per hour, and its movement, it is nearly stationary. It's been kind of drifting around down there, and this is a really significant problem. You know, whether or not this thing intensifies and brings slightly stronger winds into the Gulf, you know, that can be an issue, but the greater issue, the greater potential for real trouble with this system is tremendous amount of rain, and with a slow-moving system, we've seen minimal tropical storms and even tropical depressions create all kinds of flooding issues for the Gulf Coast. And this is what's going on down there right now, heavy rain pushing up. And it's kind of interesting because the center of circulation is actually a lot farther away from all of that convection. Now, we do have tropical storm warnings up for many of the coastal areas, almost, well, you can see all of coastal Louisiana there, and then there are watches back towards Galveston and Houston. So they're going to continue to watch that and back through the panhandle of Florida. We take a look at the satellite images and you can see we have the circulation down here, the center of circulation, but again, that convection is off to the north and west. I'm going to let Scott talk a little bit more about the direction where this thing is headed.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of rain pushing on shore, and the fetch of that moisture all the way here from the eastern Gulf of Mexico up around along the Florida Gulf Coast, especially up here in the panhandle of Florida. You know, we had a lot of folks that go down to Destin, Panama City, Gulf Shores, Alabama. This is not a beach day down that way. It is wet, and this is all going to be circulating over that area for an extended period of time. And so we'll be dealing with the potential for some significant flooding down in those areas. So Cindy, as a tropical storm, should make landfall as we head towards Wednesday night and into Thursday morning, coming ashore somewhere here, probably close to Beaumont or Port Arthur, just west of the Louisiana-Texas border. But the exact track really doesn't make that much of a difference per se, because the heavy rain is going to be spread down to the south. Now, as it slides by and potentially crosses across southeast Missouri, southern portions of Illinois, that has the impact there and the potential to add extra rainfall as a front approaches from the north and west. So, Craig, as we head into Friday, that enhances our chance for some heavier rain southeast of St. Louis.
And another thing we want to mention, when these tropical systems make landfall, so even as a tropical storm versus a significant hurricane, there is the potential for isolated tornadoes as well. So that's going to be a threat in addition to those very, very heavy rains down there. We're going to be looking for some potential isolated tornadoes as this thing makes landfall into early Friday. Now, the main threats are going to be farther to the south, but sometimes, depending on how these things continue to evolve, you can have some tornadoes even a little farther inland. So we'll be watching this again. It should be down to the south with this track continuing to skirt maybe just across the boot heel, but the real thrust of the energy should remain a little bit farther to the south. And keep in mind, once these systems move inland, they lose a lot of their punch. They need that warm water to continue to draw up energy for them to support the strength. So the winds will weaken eventually, but look at the moisture coming in. This is exactly what Scott was talking about. Center of circulation right there, moving towards that East Texas, Louisiana area. As we get into Friday, we'll look for that rain. We will, of course, continue to monitor it. The good news is it looks like we will have kind of a push with this moisture staying with the bulk of it down to the south and to the southeast. But this is one of those things, Scott, that even though we're talking about the tropics, right here in Missouri, we need to keep an eye to it. So we'll be doing that. Your thoughts, just given all of the rain, we're still about 5 inches or more across much of the region above normal. We really don't need any type of tropical rain up here, even across southern Missouri.
No, and when the tropical rains, when you get these kinds of tropical rains, you're talking not just a couple of 3 inches, but you can get 6, 8 inches of rain potentially. That's probably not going to happen close to St. Louis. Right. It's more likely down towards the boot heel. But most areas, short term, we could have a shower or two tomorrow and we'd be fine, but we don't really need any heavy rainfall. Our water table's nice and high.
Yeah, that's true. Now, just as a quick rule of thumb for those of you that are interested in the tropics, there's a rule of thumb for gauging approximate rainfall. If you take 100 and divide it by the forward speed of the storm in miles per hour, that can give you a rough estimate for those rains down, especially closer to the coast. But I mean, you're talking, if that thing's moving 20 miles per hour, you might get 5 inches of rain from that system. If it's stationary like it is now, I mean, almost the sky's the limit. But even if it's drifting along, say 5 to 10, you're looking at maybe 20 inches or 10 to 20 inches of rain for some of those areas.
Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, Florida, maybe even into Georgia and potentially into Tennessee and parts of Arkansas. Those are the areas that are probably going to get the heaviest rain out of this.
We will, of course, be watching this very, very carefully and remind you we'll be updating on 5 on Your Side News throughout the coming days. And be sure and check back with KSDK.com. We'll have more updates for you there, too.
Because we're not going to have time to do it in our show.
Well, not enough anyway. Yeah, that's great, Jeffrey. Thank you.
That's it, Jeffrey. Hey, Jeffrey, you want to just code me on mic 2, or do you want me to switch back to mic 1?
Cut it and put it online if you want to.
Oh, that'd be great. I would, yeah, here, let me give you this stuff.